There's so many opportunities for us to be able to exploit AI for our benefit and for a better quality of life. So, is there concern there? Sure. But I don't like to play the victim when it comes to AI. I want to take it, harness it, and use it for good.
Hey there, welcome to Tenero. My name is Garrett Sutton. I'm with my host here, Katrina Loftin, and we're pleased to have Tony Lopes with us today. He's the author of Freedom at Risk, a really interesting book. And Tony, thanks for joining us today. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me on, Garrett and Katrina. I appreciate you both. It's funny you mentioned my book, Freedom at Risk. It really didn't start off as a book at all. I was very fortunate to be able to get involved into real estate early on in my career, and was able to retire from the corporate world at the old age of 44 years old, which a lot of folks like to do. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a great experience working in the corporate environment, but it was time for a transition, and so having some early success with real estate allowed me to do that, and so I found myself after leaving the corporate environment with a lot of free time, which was great. And so I did a deep dive into macroeconomics and looking at a lot of things, everything political and with society and the education system and so many different things. And I said, wow, this is stuff that young people aren't learning in college or in school in general. And it's unfortunate. So I said, well, I want to write, silly me, I said, I want to write about 20, 30 pages, like a white paper, to give to my niece and my nephews, right? Some young people in my life that I felt, they could benefit from this, right? I had nothing to gain. I really wanted to give 100% benefit to them. So silly enough, I said, I'm going to write down my thoughts of in 20 or 30 pages. Lo and behold, it became a 160 some page book. It wasn't my intention, but it became a book because there was just such value in what was created, and I had such a beautiful publisher and editor, and it was just so great to be able to work with super smart people to bring this book together, Freedom at Risk, to help people understand how to look at the world and how to grow their personal and financial freedom. So it was a great experience and truly did come from my heart because it was created with my family in mind.
Well, that's great, Tony. And one of the topics you cover is how does the education system steal our freedom? And I think a lot of parents, a lot of people in general are concerned about our education system. And how does it steal our freedom, in your words?
Well, like yourself and like myself, we're very familiar with the with compound interest, and over time, that compound interest works very nicely for us, right? We look at it in our 401k systems, right, and we see that income, that nest egg grow over time with compound interest. Well, unfortunately, because of the high cost of higher education, that almost is like the high cost of education is opposite of compound interest. What it does is it steals our money early on, right? And creates this huge debt for us as young people coming out of a university or a higher institution, right? It creates this huge debt for us that doesn't allow us coming out of college to be able to buy a home, which we know typically, historically, has gone up in value over time, right? And has become, for Americans, many Americans, the basis of a large portion of their wealth, right? So if we can't start doing that as young people coming out of college, that's a problem. If we have this huge debt coming out of college, we also don't have the ability to start a business as freely as we want to, right? We don't have that nest egg. And we all know starting a business is a great way to build wealth in our lives, right? And then also, just having the money to come out of when you're coming out of college to be able to invest and start that compound interest, right? Start that growing. That would be huge. But unfortunately, a lot of young people coming out of college today, they don't have that benefit of having that income, that nest egg, because they're paying for higher education, right? And so it's not only a problem within the higher education system, it's also a problem with government, because government, not for nothing, they understand this is happening. They've given universities tax breaks on their endowments. And just this morning, because I knew I would be sitting here with you folks, I took a look at the Harvard endowment. Harvard endowment right now is at $52 billion. And that's, when they invest that, that's tax free. They don't get taxed on that endowment. And I looked at it and I said, gee, if they just make 5% interest on that 52, right, which is very easy to do these days, right? 5% interest, right? When T-bill's at like 4 point something percent, 5% is very easy for them to do. 5% equates to $2.5 billion a year.
Is that free tuition for everybody?
Well, that's where I was going with it. I take a look at that and I say, if Harvard was truly about educating folks, you take that $2.5 billion and you could educate 7,500 students for free for their 4 years, right?
Yeah.
For their 4 years, they could pay nothing, come out of Harvard with a great education, and be able to start doing good for themselves.
Right.
But that's not how it works, right? And the government has an opportunity to change the rules, but they haven't. So that's a problem both with the education system, but also with government and politics.
Absolutely. So what can we do about that? What can young people do? They're starting out in debt. What can they do?
Yeah, so I share with folks, there's a couple of things they can do, right? So got to take a look at the cost-benefit analysis of what you're wanting to go to school for. And one of the things I share with young people is take a look, if you can do your first 2 years at a local university or community college, get those lower level 100 level courses and 200 level courses, get those done at your local university at a lower cost, right? And then make sure you can transfer them. Obviously, you got to transfer them to the higher, more prestigious university that you ultimately want to go to. But get those out of the way at a very low cost, so you're not burdened with that debt. And then transfer your last 2 years, your junior and senior year, go to that prestigious university that you want to go to for your 300 level courses and your 400 level courses. Do the networking, make the connections at that higher level university, at that prestigious university. And so that way, there's less debt on your back when you graduate. So that's one thing. A second thing, for some young people, it sometimes makes sense to go do a gap year. And I'm not saying a gap year to just, kind of sit on the beach and do nothing. I talk about a gap year as far, and then maybe the young people don't want to hear this.
Right.
Really go and get some life experience. Go work, right? Go work for, I talk about this quite a bit. Go work for a CPA. Go work for an attorney writing contracts. Go work learning how to do underwriting or lending. There's so much to be learned in those three fields if you want to have a gap year and kind of rotate through those professions. Make some money, right? Don't do it for free. You got to make some money to be able to have a nest egg, to be able to now apply that towards your university cost, right? Stay at home, live with mom and dad for another year. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. and save some money while you're doing that, living at home and working for that gap year. That's another thing. A third thing that I recommend is find an employer who's willing to pay for your college education, right? Now, you may need to sign on and say, hey, after I graduate, I'll stay on for another 2 years as an employee, because the employer wants to get the benefit from you having paid for that education. They're going to want that. But there are employers out there that will pay for you to go to college and get your bachelor's degree and then even your master's degree. I got my master's degree paid by my employer. When I was working in the commercial world, I had my master's paid by them. That could have cost me a lot of money, but it didn't. All I had to pay for was books. That's it. And it was a great tool. And so those are the three things I share with parents and with young people, right? Because one of the problems is, we don't have the adults in the room staring the young people as much as maybe they should be. We need more of the parents in the room helping to steer young people because they're not fully formed yet. They need help in that regard.
Tony, this is all great information. I have a question, and it relates to both high school and college. Is there enough financial education in our educational system?
That's a loaded question. So no, from my perspective, right? There's others that maybe contest what I say, but I don't believe that there is. There needs to be more in terms of how to do budgeting, how to do risk analysis, right, in our lives, just to understand how to allocate funds, how to mitigate some of those risks. So we need to have more of that in the education system for us to understand how to do ROI calculations and just do a better job with knowing where the opportunities are, right? As opposed to looking too much at not seeing the risks and not seeing the opportunity. We need more job in the education system with that.
So Tony, AI, what's going on with AI? What should we be afraid of?
That's a very big question, very important question. So right now with AI, we're seeing a lot of uncertainty. I'm gonna share, and so I look at it right now as, are there things we need to be concerned about? Yes, absolutely. And that concern is going to help us going forward, right? Because it's going to force us to think in a critical way, and it should force us to think in a critical way of our jobs and our livelihood, right? To be able to take a look at, if I'm in a certain job, say for example, if I'm in real estate, how is AI going to change what I do as a real estate investor, right? What sort of tools are coming down, right? What sort of software is going to be available? How is that all changing, right? That's super important. If you're in, if you're a CPA, it's important to know how AI is potentially going to change your world. So, the education on AI needs to be taking place in each and every one of us as adults, okay? Because there's, right now, I see a great opportunity for all of us to take a look and learn where we can exploit AI, right? If we have our own business, for me in real estate, or say for a CPA, right? There's so many opportunities for us to be able to exploit AI for our benefit and for a better quality of life. So is there concern there? Sure. But I don't like to play the victim when it comes to AI. I want to take it, harness it, and use it for good.
So Tony, we've heard about job loss and AI, and we don't know where it's going to go, but people also don't talk about the quality of life that is affected by AI. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, if you're not paying attention to what AI is doing and where it can eat your lunch, your quality of life will probably diminish in some way, right? If you're the victim and all you want to do is, pout about how AI is supposedly going to steal all these jobs, then yes, it will probably impact your quality of life for sure. If you don't have an understanding of where it's going relative to your field, like I spoke about, right? Then it becomes a problem and affects your quality of life. But if you know where AI is headed and its capabilities. Now you can go ahead and, as I say, exploit it, right? You can use it as a tool. You can use it for marketing, right? As an example, right? To find new customers. You can use it for bookkeeping, right? You can use it to, this is a big thing, overall, improve your productivity, right?
Yeah.
Everything we look at should be improving our productivity, right? Do the analysis quicker, faster, more accurate, more clients, right? Things like that. That's all productivity that we can measure. And if you can use AI and exploit it in that way, then your quality of life is bound to get better.
Well, I'm glad you have a silver lining for it, because a lot of people don't. So, Katrina, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting. I actually had a client the other day. I sell businesses, so I had a buyer call on a business, and his opening remark with me was, he's an attorney actually. He was worried about what's going to happen to his job for the type of law he does, and he doesn't really want to change within his field, so he's looking to buy a business that's more hands-on, construction-driven. I thought that was really interesting, but in my field, I think AI can be really helpful and a really good thing for. I doubt an AI person's ever going to replace me. Hopefully not. I mean, who knows? But but hopefully not.
Yeah, I love that story. Everybody has to do a self-assessment on themselves, and one of the examples I give is, because I create a lot of content. I've always done a lot of stuff in real estate investing, right? And so I share my own personal story where I put a wrapper on it and I say, I can use AI to create Tony Lopes 2.0, right? Imagine Tony Lopes 2.0, right? So today, Tony Lopes 1.0, I'm a real estate investor. I know how to do underwriting. I know how to network in that way. I've written books on it, right? I have my website, different things. But now I can use AI. Imagine this. This just blows people's minds. Imagine this. Tony Lopes 2.0. I can tell AI to go read my books, to go look at my website, to go look at my podcasts, to go look at my blogs that I've written. I can tell AI to go see all that stuff. And then I can tell AI, make Tony Lopes 2.0 into a property management company. Something I don't do today, right? Now, AI can go ahead and generate automated podcasts for me because I've written enough and spoken enough about property management. It can do podcasts for me, scripts, and even create my image and put me out there on YouTube, right? It can create blogs for me in my voice, right? It can go ahead and create a website for me. AI can now create websites for ourselves. We know that, right? It can go off and it can write a book, right? It can go write an ebook for me on property management, something I don't have today.
There's
it can do
book.
my marketing
There you
for
go.
me.
Katrina's
Right?
book will soon
Yes,
be written now.
I'm going to do that.
Great,
Yeah.
AI can do so much that, I don't have either the knowledge or maybe the time component to go off and create, but it can do my marketing around property management. It can create software tools for my tenants as a property manager. It can do my bookkeeping. It can do my invoicing. It can do my contracts. AI can do that. So that's Tony Lopes 2.0. How amazing is that? We are in a state where, I don't look at this as being the victim. I look at this in my situation as saying, how do I create the next better version of myself? And I think we all need to do that for ourselves in terms of the capacity that we have today, right? If I use a CPA, or if we're an attorney, we have to use that same thing to say, how do I get to the next level, the next version of myself?
And
So-
if you don't know, ask AI, right?
Well, if you don't
they can
know,
tell
right.
you, right?
So my question, Tony, is where is AI in 5 years?
Yeah, wouldn't we all like to know?
I don't have that crystal ball. Hopefully you do.
Yeah, I wish I did, but here's where I see it going when I look at things. I'm very optimistic, right? I'm not in the camp of woe is me. It's going to steal as many jobs as folks think it's going to steal, right? So I'm very optimistic, and I don't think it's going to be as devastating on society as maybe some are predicting it's going to be. Not in the next 5 years, okay? So I don't see as many job losses that some are predicting. I do see some job losses. Let's be realistic. Companies are going to cut costs. They are going to use AI for certain jobs. But I don't see it as big of a job loss as maybe others are predicting. I think there's a tremendous opportunity over the next 5 years for folks who are maybe techies to be able to, again, exploit AI and have some new business startups to help others utilize AI features, software, apps, things like that, right? You know, we talk about, contract attorneys, or just attorneys in general. They're not trained in technology like AI, but if you have somebody comes in who has a business startup that helps somebody migrate to start using AI, that's a great opportunity, right? To start a new business. AI will never take certain jobs, right? We talk about the construction field. You know, there's certain things AI won't be able to do in the construction field, nor in the healthcare field, right? Healthcare, that's still going to be a hands-on, very human-intensive industry, right? That's not going to be lost to AI. So I'm very optimistic in the next 5 years that AI isn't going to be as devastating as some are predicting. You know, I think about it as, think about Bitcoin like maybe 5 years ago. There were a lot of folks out there saying Bitcoin is going to be the next big thing. It's going to replace the US dollar. We're going to be using it in all stores all over the place. We're going to be using it online. Yeah. Not so. We're not there yet. Maybe we'll get there.
Well, we'll get there when the IRS figures out how to tax it. That's the issue. So anyway.
Exactly.
But Tony, this has been great information, and I encourage people to pick up Freedom at Risk because you bring up some really important topics. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, I appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If folks are interested, I'd like to offer, so this is what the book looks like. If folks want a free copy, I'm all about value, right? We come on here, we do these podcasts, we do them for free, right? If folks want a free copy of the book, just send me an email. I'm happy to send you a free book. If you're in the United States, I can get that out to you. Just send me an email at TonyLopes, with an S, Lopes, TonyLopes at dirtybootscapital.com, and I'll send you a free book.
Well, that's a generous offer. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you both. I appreciate you both having me on.
All right, take care.
Thanks.